everyone, it's Lisa here with you today on the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. For today's card I thought I would use the Laurel Leaf Para-Dies and the Craft Around background die. So I'm going to do like a repeat pattern on my card, and I'm also going to do some embossing with a background die. So let's get started. These are the 5 different cardstocks that I am going to use to cut my laurel leaf. So I've picked 2 purples, one's very light there as it looks on the camera. And I have die cut most of them off camera just to speed up the process, but I'm using the smaller of the 2 laurel leaf dies today, and I'm going to cut 2 from each colour. So just running that through my Gemini Junior, and I'm just going to now take off the tape and pop out that die cut. And it cut out really nicely and popped out of the cardstock easily. So just going to show you the 2 of each that I've cut here, and we're going to adhere those together just to give them a little bit of extra stability. So I'm taking my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and I'm just adding that onto each of the petals and a little bit down the stem, and I am going to tap off the excess onto a piece of scrap paper just so that I don't have lots of that spilling out of the sides, and I'm just going to adhere those 2 layers together. And once I've adhered both layers together, I'm going to pop an acrylic block on each of them just to make sure that they have glued together properly. And here is a look at all 5 of the completed die cuts. So we're going to go ahead and work on our background now, and I'm going to do some dry embossing with the Craft Around background die. So just popping my panel of white cardstock on top of the die there, and I'm just going to tape that down so that it doesn't move when I run it through the die cutting machine. And I'm going to use my Big Shot machine to do the dry embossing. So the sandwich that I found worked best for me is the bottom platform. I've got both of the tabs on the left hand side. So I'm just using the main platform, a cutting plate, the rubber mat, my cardstock, then my die, and then another cutting mat on top. And that worked out really well for me, but you might need to experiment a bit with the sandwich that you need to use for your die cutting machine. And just running that through a couple of times just to make sure that I get a good impression. I'm going to remove the tape now, and then I can show you what that actually looks like with the embossing. So it adds a really nice extra detail to the background of your card, and it really doesn't take much effort. So what we're going to do now is just adhere all of our laurel leaves along the panel. So I'm starting off with the darkest purple. I'm just adding some wet adhesive onto the back, and then I'm going to position that on the left hand side of the panel, and I'm just going to work my way along using the colours as you can see at the top of the screen. So a lighter purple, then I go into a light aqua, a medium aqua, and then a much darker teal. So I'm being quite careful here how I put these down. I want to make sure that I've overlapped them enough so that they're all going to fit on. And it was easier to start from the left than to start from the centre and work my way out, obviously, as I was overlapping. And I just about managed to get them all on. And just pressing that final one down just to make sure it's adhered properly. I did actually put some blocks on that for a few minutes just to make sure that they were stuck firm before I flipped that panel over and added some more glue onto the back. And I'm now going to adhere that over a piece of black and white striped paper. I thought that that edge would make a nice contrast to the leaves. I've stamped and heat embossed a sentiment off camera from the All My Love stamp set. I've done white heat embossing onto black cardstock, and I trimmed it out with a sentiment die. Pop some foam tape onto the back, and I'm just going to position that down over my leaves. I wasn't sure exactly where to place my sentiment, which is normally the case. I did try it at the bottom of the card, but in the end I settled for adhering it slightly further up across the bottom of the leaves. So going to finish now with some gems. These are the Fairy Garden Meraki Sparkle gems, and I'm adding those around the bottom of the leaves, around the stem, and of course across the top, and I do put some on the die cuts as well. And this is a really fun card to create. It really didn't take long. The longest part was cutting all the leaves and adhering them together. But take a look at the leaves that you've got and see what might work potentially. I really liked the way this leaf set tilted towards the left. I thought that that looked really nice to have 5 of those in a row. And of course it's a great way to use up your cardstock scraps as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will be back again with another card for you soon. Bye for now.